Good afternoon and welcome to the latest edition of Novvi Talks. My name is Mario Volpi. I'm the head of brokerage here at Novvi Properties. And I'm really pleased to have with me today, on my right, we have Olga Serbu. And to my left, we have the very famous Daniel G. Thank you very much for coming, Daniel. Thank you for coming, Olga. I'd like to start today with my first question to Daniel. We spoke before, and I understand that you were only 17 when you first started out in medical sales.
No, 19.
19,
yeah.
Okay, well...
Okay. I was throwing out a lot of ages.
19, 17, it's still very young.
Right.
My question basically is, how did you find your clients dealt with you, given your young age, and how did you overcome any of those challenges?
Yeah, I think, the first thing is age is always going to be a belief inside of somebody's head, regardless if you're young or if you're old. Like when I started my business, I started my business at 25 sales training people. So does it ever really stop? No, because I was 25 training people that were 55 in sales, right?
But you actually started at 14, you were saying.
I was starting sales when I was 13, but I
13.
Started training sales, what we're doing now. I started doing it 5-6 years ago, right? And the first thought is like, man, I'm young and there's people that have been in the game for like twice the amount of my age that I'm living on this planet Earth. I've been in sales for maybe 50 years. Who knows if a guy's 70? And then I looked one day, it's funny that you asked me this. My dad's like, we were starting a business. I was starting my sales training business. My dad wanted to leave. My dad was in suit sales and he wanted to start another business. And my dad's belief was like, my dad was 60 at the time. I was 24. And my dad's belief was like, shit, I'm too old. I can't figure out all this like tech and all this stuff. I don't know if I should start this business. And at the same time, it was interesting. I was leaving my B2B medical job and starting up my sales training, my agency. And I'm like, man, you think people are going to take me serious that I'm getting out on the road? I'm going to train these people on the road. And then I started my business first and I said, Dad, it works. And I said, isn't it funny how the individual, my dad, was older and wanted to be younger and I was younger and I wanted to be older. So it was only inside of our own head. Like I always say, nobody gives a It's only inside of your own head. There's a billionaire that's 18 years old right now and nobody cares just because he knows more than other individuals. So I guess to answer your question is just know more. Like know more and be better. Let your skill set drive the car. Don't let your age, don't let ego, don't let emotions drive the car. The moment you know more than the other person, age is completely out of the picture.
And is that the reason why you succeeded in the medical field? Because you really had that product knowledge? Because I think it was you that was telling me that most of the other salespeople were in their 20s or 30s, should I say?
Correct, and about.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So you were really streets ahead of them, specifically for that sales position. I wasn't necessarily talking about sales in general.
Right.
I was talking just about the medical field. Selling MRI scanners and things like that. That was tough, I would have thought.
You have to know your product. You have to. Like it's I don't know if I knew my product better than all my other reps inside of the industry because they've been in there for 20, 30 years, right? And they had amazing product knowledge. We're asking how was myself with my clients. I had to know my product. I didn't probably know it better than everybody else inside of my corporation. Did I do well? Yes, because I knew my product. You can't BS a doctor about a machine or surgical supplies. You have to know your clients, you have to know your products, and you have to know your clients' clients, like their patients. The device serves their patients and what types of patients it serves, etc. So yeah, I had to understand my clients, and I stayed up nights understanding my products, my clients, and their patients. Because I didn't come from a medical background.
So focusing on the product is really good. And I want to turn to you now, Olga. For those who don't know you, you're a real estate agent. What's your area of specialization?
So I work on a farm, and sometimes I also represent buyers. So I sometimes act as a buyer's agent. As in Dubai, you either buyer's agent or seller's agent, and most of the time it's actually on the selling side versus Canada or US where you represent buyers. So most of the time on the listing sides, it would be on the Palm Jumeirah, but I do have referrals coming in for downtown DFC from the previous jobs.
So it's fair to say that you've got a bit of a wide range of spectrum.
Luckily, yes. I consider it to be lucky because I've been in Dubai for 15 years. I know Dubai well. I know when Burj Khalifa wasn't there, but in real estate, I'm only third year going. So that I take as an advantage. And funny now, going back to what you said, is age a problem for the agencies or is experience a problem for the agencies? And I feel like you have these young agents smashing record sales. And it's not about age anymore. It's not about the skill. It's all together. And you were saying, like, is it numbers game? Is it skill speed? It's actually people's game. If you can build that relationship, you're gonna smash it. And unless, of course, you have to know your product. You have to know your listings on the bottom front, and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah.
I read somewhere that a salesman gives at least 60% of the transaction. Yeah, you have a buyer, you have a seller, they want it, they don't want it. But sometimes a salesman can ruin a sale. Right. I think you even talked about that downstairs. Would you agree with that statement, or does it not matter what the salesman does?
150%. Yeah. Then sales would be obsolete if the salesman didn't exist. My job wouldn't exist, your job wouldn't exist, her job wouldn't exist, right? People would just buy from computers and information. So to blow up that, then there would be no such thing as great sales reps making more money than other sales reps. Every single sales rep would be making the exact same money if it had no involvement of the sales rep. Just to make this like a yes or no, yes, 150% it relies on the salesperson, or then every single salesperson would all be getting paid the same inside of sales. It would be like a standard customer service job. Everybody would get paid the same, and you're just there to deal with information. So like a great salesperson has two things. They can build a great relationship, and they can deal with the difficult clients inside of the business. And the better you are doing those two things, you get paid more predicated based upon that. So those two simple things that I just said, you get paid based on how much people like you, your relationships, your rapport with them, and then also how you could deal with people's difficulties, their challenges, their objections. Like one's a warm thing, the other one gets a little bit more difficult on this side, right? So yeah, those are things. And by the way, those are things you're also not born with, because some people are, you know, you have this connotation where it's, I don't know if you're going to bring this up. It's like, are you a born salesperson? Like, are you? And I say, you have to reframe that, because like what you're thinking is like sales is just energy, but you're not born to learn how to build relationships. You're not born how to, like what I was just training on the whiteboard, how to find the gap. I didn't come out of my mother's womb learning how to deal with the objection. No, thank you, I'm not interested, right? So it's like, and that's what makes money inside of sales. Learn how to deal with the freaking no, you make money inside of sales. So are you born out of your mother's womb on how to deal with an objection? No, thank you, I'm not interested. No, you have to train for that. And energy without discipline and training, energy is wasted. That's like the biggest killer of a sales rep, is that so many people are born with good energy, and you're like, oh, I'm a born salesperson, but without the discipline to learn, train, study, focus on the products, the skill sets, the everything, then your energy is useless. We see so many good sales reps probably come in and out that have amazing energy, and they're like, oh, I'm a born salesperson. And then they don't study their product at all, and it's like, wow, what a waste. And on the other hand, is like, some people are like, well, I'm not a born salesperson. Well, can I ask you what you mean by that? Yeah, I'm a little bit introverted. Well, my question is this, are you freaking lazy? Because like an introvert can still do well. An introvert can still ask questions. They could still have hunger and desire. Just because you're an introvert doesn't mean you can't have hunger and desire, that you're still hungry toward. Do you know how many introverts that are probably in this market right now that are crushing it? Yeah. And actually I speak to so many that are completely opposite to me, and they still make a lot of money. The lower edge in sales, because I do this so much. It's like, so I don't think introvert is even an excuse. Introvert or extrovert, it's not an excuse to win or lose.
So we talked a little bit about challenges and things regarding the salesman, but I was just wondering, if I take you back to COVID times, I know it's completely off topic, but I was very interested to understand. I know how I was during COVID times. We were locked away. How did you keep your sales training business going during COVID times?
Completely online. That's the time I grew.
But online, you talked about obviously the importance of the salesperson. I would imagine that also is the contact and how that person comes across. Can that really come across in a Zoom call?
It was different, but I think the balance was I could just reach a lot more people in a less amount of time. So it helped my business more than anything, because my business is all around people. So like as a salesperson, it's like, it's a blessing in disguise, because you can get to people fast, and you know, you can just wear boxers and underwear and have a t-shirt above and still do your Zoom meeting. And I'm training, it's funny, like half of the meetings, I'm literally in my office in boxers, and I have a dress shirt on, and I'm training 2,000 people on a Zoom call.
Do you still do Zoom calls, or only?
Yeah, of course.
Only
I was doing Zoom calls. I did 4 Zoom calls last week, 400 people. Last night, it was like 3 a.m. And the reason being is because, just think of it like, I don't have to go to the airport. I don't have to go, if I could do it and reach a wide amount of people, of course. That's why I love sales in today's day and age, because there's so much, like, where else are you able, like 10 years ago, to sit down in breakfast and message a client? Like, it's absurd to me that you can get a lead and message that client on your cell phone before you even get inside of the office. That's absurd, because like 25 years ago, this didn't exist.
Tell me about it.
Really, it didn't exist. Like, there was, if I were going to look how my grandfather would sell before even my dad, it's like, because my grandfather was a subcontractor, so you're in sales basically, because he's selling contracts, etc. He had a pager.
if I take you back to 1984.
And before that, there wasn't even that
Yeah,
existed.
exactly.
That was in 93. I was born in 93.
No, well, in 84, we didn't even have mobile phones.
Correct.
So we would go on a viewing, we'd have a schedule, we would leave, we'd say bye to the office, we'd go, and then literally maybe 10 minutes later, the client may call to say, I can't make it. Nobody could reach me.
Correct.
I would wait at the property for 15 minutes, maybe half an hour, realize no one's coming, and then come back and say, the guy never showed up. Well, no, sorry, actually he called about 10 minutes after you left. So the technology now really, really does help us. So it was different time, different place. So if I could ask you, Olga, please, how long have you actually been in real estate?
3 years.
Third year.
Third year.
Right. So you wouldn't have been around during the sort of the COVID times in terms of doing viewings and things.
Unfortunately. No.
Okay.
Unfortunately. But it kind of goes back to the corporate. Like, I'm coming from the corporate environment, and all my life, and going back, whether or not you're born salesperson, I've been entertaining going to real estate in 2014. But I always thought I'm not a salesperson, so I'm not gonna go into it. I was always fearful and scared. So the salesperson, and then I realized it's bad salespeople. This car sale, la la la, screaming and yelling and in your face. That I don't have, and still don't. But again, I think there's coming up more respect to the sales science. So let's just put it that way.
So is Novvi the first real estate company?
No, it's the second.
It's the second one.
Yes.
What made you come to Novvi?
So my first one was a very boutique firm from a friend. And I thought, okay, I'm going to test it out if I like it. I loved it. So I said, okay, now I have to go bigger. And Novvi was exactly that feeling of a boutique firm with a bigger vision and bigger ambition. And that's, I met Omar, and I liked what he has in mind for the firm.
Sure.
And also how he treats the employees and agencies.
So, Daniel, going back to your sales training and with technology especially, I'm a little bit backwards and it's difficult for me to keep up. How do you keep yourself, or should I say the content?
Man, you just don't want to learn it.
Okay, maybe I don't.
It's not rocket science. You're just like, you might not need. You're so far probably in it that you're like, I don't even need to learn this at this point.
Me, I like.
Because if somebody wants to learn French, they can learn French.
I like to talk to people.
Right.
Face to face. I could page someone, or I could message them. No, I like to go around the corner and talk to them, but it's okay.
So it's difficult for people to do that.
It can be.
It's harder
if they're not in the same country. Yeah.
No. What I meant was, I think it's more difficult for today's day and age to learn how a guy that's 21 to go talk to somebody now than it is to even learn freaking Instagram. Like, you got to reprogram this person completely different because now they've been brought up on phones. If you walk in a store now, especially in America, and you walk in a store and there's somebody there that's like 18, 19 years old, the guy won't even like shake your hand, look at you in the eyes anymore. Hey, what are you doing? What did you come in the mall? The guy's like, can I help you with something?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's the hard thing now. Like, how do you take that person and completely reshift them to like talking to human beings? But going back to social media and tech, like I think that's harder than teaching somebody like you how to, learn technology.
But how do you keep yourself and more importantly, your content in your training seminars relevant to today? Because it changes.
Correct.
And I'm sure that when you first started, the way you're training people today is different. Different industries, different people, different nationalities. How do you do that?
Yeah, it really is. Staying in the game is the ultimate formula. So you can't train the way I train if you're out of the game.
Yeah.
I'm in the game. So what I mean by that is like, listen, I was on the Dubai. It's such a small market, but I was on the Dubai tags last night. And I see this trainer pop up, like the sales trainer, and he's saying something. And I said, oh, this was cool in the 1980s.
Yeah.
I said, this was great in the 1980s.
Well, that's my point about being relevant.
We have a cell phone. I can send off a video, say something completely different, and I can send off 58 video messages in the next hour and a half. And the only reason why I was saying this inside of my head where I said that message sucks is because I'm like, oh, he's not playing the game right now. Like, he's not playing the game. I play the game, so there's a different... Like, I could still be the I learned my content. When I started sales when I was 14, you're learning the content from people that have been in sales in 1980s. Like, it's called outdated sales syntax. So it's never really changed until technology has come in and changed the game a little bit more. The buyer has also changed. It's not just that the tech has changed. It's just the buyer has changed. The buyer is now getting more calls from people because why? Numbers are more public, right? So, like, let's say you're in America and there's something called an FSBO. It's called a for sale by owner, right? 40 years ago, real estate agents wouldn't have access to that information at such a quick pace. Now that your number is public, more agents have access to it. If more agents have access to it, this guy gets a little bit more annoyed because he's getting called 55 times, and in the past, he'd only get called 5 to 6 times maybe in the past. Now the buyer is changing, saying, hey, I'm more fast-paced. You better be quick with me and give me some sort of value up front. You better know if it's a $1.5 million home. I think that all plays into factor, but just being in the game. So to answer that question, I'm in the game. And what do I mean by being in the game? I could still operate like the old person, but last night I'm on a live stream at 3:30 a.m. And what that means is I'm on a live stream and I'm seeing how people are interacting, and I'm telling those people to go in my DM, and I'm selling them inside of the direct message. So in order to duplicate that and train somebody on it, I got to do it, right? So I'm in the game, and I can say I'm old because there's kids that are 19 now, right, doing this. So I'm like, the only thing I can do is stay relevant inside of the game. So, and I think that's how I don't get beat, because I said I will get beat if I don't stay in the game.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So I want to be especially in my industry where it's like you're training people from all levels, from all walks of life. Some people ask me why I travel so much, and I say, I become more of a chameleon every single time I travel. Listen, training in the Middle East, like I've been everywhere around the world. Training in Jordan and Lebanon is different than training in Italy. Training in Italy is different than training in Spain. Training even within Europe. Training in Italy and the UK is different than training in America. Training in Canada and training in the USA is completely different. And what's cool about that is like, then now when I sit down with people on a one-on-one environment, I understand that person because I've been inside of their culture, right? So I think that's also important, because what you're trying to be, I think, as a very great sales rep is just a chameleon.
And you got to adapt, obviously.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you got to learn and watch. And
going back to your sales seminars, I mean, on an average year, if we take an average year, how many sales training seminars do you actually do? How many of those perhaps are outside of the US? I mean, you touched upon Europe and what have you, but how many would then be outside the US?
I think the average would be, it's a 50-50 split at this point. I'd say 50% are inside of the US and 50% are outside of the US. Training seminars, we do about anywhere between 60 to 80 throughout the year, which is a lot. That's more than one a week. But then, like, I'm also not counting like things like today.
Yeah.
Meaning like, because every time I do a training, there's like 3-4 other trainings behind it. It just happens like that. Like if I'm here this week, right, we do an event, and then it's like, hey, can you do these trainings? So I'm not counting. Those are like seminars, right? Like 60 to 80 seminars a year, but probably over 200-300 trainings per year at minimum.
200 to 300.
Yeah, at minimum.
Did you do like a 49 up to date, right? How many flights? 49?
Yeah, I've taken this year alone. So we've done over 100 flights this year, 105 flights this year alone.
Like 49.
Poor Steve, huh?
Yeah. Poor Steve.
Poor Steve.
Poor me. The heck?
Well, you're in business. What do you mean?
No, but we all went together. That's the point, right? So it's like Steve wouldn't stick around if there wasn't
Of course.
no money in the world would make you stick around with myself. And I'm just gonna make that very
areas.
yeah, just very no.
So let's take us back to our event on Sunday, which I thought was amazing, by the way. Olga, as an agent, can you tell me, what did you take away from the art of closing from an agent's perspective?
Well, I'm going to be upfront first. Like when Omar was telling, like, okay, Daniel G is coming, I said, Daniel G is the only one that I don't follow because on social you come up very intensive. I was like, and I cannot digest it, I need to be slower. So, I learned 3 lessons I'm actually going to tell. Number 1, slow down. And that's what I told you already in person, that, you intense, you hyper and when you teach, but when you actually do the call, you listen more, you change your tonality, you react to what people say, even if it's an objection, if it's a no, you give them, you slow down. And a lot of people sometimes when they do the pitch, nobody stops. And I'm like, okay, I'm probably guilty. Number 2, I loved, don't sell the picture of a property. And that's what we do a lot in Dubai. We spend a lot of money on marketing, photographs, video, amazing brochure, you start sending it out. There is no dream selling. There is no storytelling. There is no like working on it. And could be because, we have some peculiarities with the sellers and things like that. But I was thinking about it, like even about after that Sunday, I back to one of the villa on the front O, and I'm going to say, I'm going to go there every bloody day, and I'm going to do social media posts every day saying, I'm here, I'm going to sell this villa. Not because I have a beautiful brochure, but because I'm committed, first of all, to the seller and more exposure. And number 3, I loved be good. What you were saying, like it's karma, energy, whatever, regardless whether or not you sold something to the client or they chose somebody else or the listing, owner went with somebody else, just be good because that karma returns. And I think if a lot of agents in this industry in Dubai were following that, would be much more professional and ethical transactions, and probably a lot more people would have benefited.
Do you also believe in what goes around comes around?
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah.
That's his thing.
That was only bad. He said energy.
I was in the green room. I think I must have missed that bit.
Giving energy, and if you good energy, only good people will come. If you're in the shitty energies part,
I agree.
French, you're gonna attract shitty clients who are not paying commissions and things like that. So I love that. And as a closing thing, I actually signed up and now I follow him.
So you signed up on my Instagram?
Watch your lives.
You followed my Instagram?
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah,
So obviously,
You know, I love that. I like working for a relationship like that. You know, that's why we do things like this. Because some people ask me, they question me, they say, well, why do you go on the road? And I said, you don't get it. Social media doesn't do justice. It really doesn't. Because like as a sales trainer, social media just, like if you were on my Instagram, I'm just being an advocate for sales. I'm not really training sales. I'm being an advocate. Like if I do a video, I'm just saying why sales is the best. And I'm only posting the videos that I know are going to get positive and negative attention. Because I understand the game. I know what's going to get shared. I want a hater to share my video and be like, this guy is stupid. Why? Because you just gave me an analytic. You just bumped up my analytic on the video. So of course, for my Instagram clips, I'm going to turn it up a notch because that's what it needs, right? And then I got to say, well, if I'm going to do that, then I also got to have substance. So let me go on the road and have some sort of substance on the road because that's what actually builds a relationship. And that's how people pay you. They don't pay me off my social media. Like they pay me because of substance. No CEO is ever going to pay you because you yell. A CEO is going to pay you because he's like, hey, dude, you actually helped my people. We want to have you back. And that's a point of a relationship, right? That's why I come out to Dubai, build relationships with you guys, Omar, etc. It's like, oh, you helped some people. Yeah, I think that's wicked. That's awesome. Love it.
Yeah, so all your seminars, in my opinion, are very motivational. I mean, people leave there pumped up.
Yeah.
So it leads me to the question, and maybe you touched on it downstairs a bit. What drives you? What motivates you? What gets you out of bed in the morning to actually go on with your day?
Yeah, I think, you know, as you build, more people come in, and the more people come in, the more responsibility you have, right? So like in the beginning, it's like the levels of responsibility is just trying to feed yourself. And then the second level of responsibility is trying to feed your family. And third responsibility is like you're trying to feed your employees. And the fourth is like it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And one day I started training in 2017, 2018. And a very big individual in the space, he's written the best-selling books inside of sales. And I asked him a question. I said, first, how do you measure all this impact? Like, this is absurd. How do you measure it? Like, off all these events? He's like, well, number one, you really can't. The bad part about this is you're never going to be able to stop the bigger you get. And I said, well, what do you mean? He's like, because your responsibility is going to increase and increase and increase, and people are going to need you and need you and need you. So he's like, are you sure you want to sign up to this job? He's like, because I haven't stopped, and now I'm 80, and now I'm like stopping. He's like, and it's people need your energy. So he's like, are you sure you want to sign up to this? I'm like, yeah, I want to sign up to it. And finally, now I get what he meant by that, because I said, oh, I have no option. Like people need my energy, or they're not going to listen. This is what it is. Like, people need my energy. It's like on a sale and one-to-one, you need to be a little bit of enthusiastic. But now when there's 200 people, you got to be extra enthusiastic. So it's almost just like, it's just what comes with the job, right? So, but if you were to look at me off stage, I'm out. I don't want to talk to nobody. I'm calm. I'm chilled out. I'm going to relax. I'm going to save my voice. I'm going to save my energy, because you have to learn how to pour into individuals. And if I had to be like this 24/7, I would not be able to have high energy. So right now I'm on.
I always say that sales is like being an actor.
Right.
You literally have to get on stage, whether you're in someone's house or in an office or whatever. You're trying to convince somebody. You are acting.
You're turning it on.
I mean, and I don't mean that in a sort of a false way. I just mean you have to be a completely different persona. And clearly that is the case, because on stage you are that persona.
Yeah.
But in your private life, you're completely different.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, you know, we were playing soccer.
I was about to say, you're a mean soccer player as well.
Yeah.
So
I'm mean, meaning like
mean as in good.
Oh, okay, but like not aggressive. I thought you meant like
no.
Yeah, I think
an amazing soccer player.
We actually played.
Yeah, we smashed it.
Excuse me, why are you even surprised? Yeah,
no, we smashed it.
I was in goal, by the way. So I didn't do a lot of running.
You let in probably 4 or 5.
Oh, I let in 6, but it's okay. I would put 3 of them down to the defense was a bit rubbish. Yeah. But you scored 6 goals.
With you, yeah.
Didn't you score 6 goals?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so we won 6-9 or 9-6.
Novvi
It was
Properties
good.
represent.
And hopefully we'll do that again on Monday.
For sure, yeah. No, I'm in. I'm staying for Monday.
Amazing.
If we're going to play soccer on Monday.
They're going to ask you not to play. Do you remember that they said the other guy not to play? They're going to say, this dude, no, he can't play anymore.
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, you know, it's cool because I like playing soccer too with everybody because you could just see like how competitive.
Oh, it's
you know. Listen, we were so people don't know this. People watching this, what he's referring to is we had a soccer match and I was playing part of their brokerage, and we're a sales brokerage, so we're a bunch of sales guys playing soccer, and then we're reversing like an accounting brokerage, right? And I'm looking at it, I'm like, shit, we're so competitive, we're arguing within each other, like even within. Like I was laughing because I'm like, two of our teammates were having it out on the field, and I'm laughing to myself. I'm like, welcome to sales. I said, this is the epitome of a sales team where there's competition even within the company, right? And there was and that drove our energy on the team to make us freaking smash these guys, right? So, but I think they were also accountants, and we wanted to beat up on the accountants.
For sure, we did. But they were also fairly aggressive, weren't they?
They were more aggressive on the field than us. These guys were sliding.
Did you actually get the Novvi shirt and everything?
Yeah, for sure. Oh
no, you and I were the only two not wearing.
This is off camera. We shouldn't be saying this.
Yeah,
then we're
okay. He had a white shirt. I had a Chelsea shirt, but it was okay.
But yeah, going back to energy, it's like, you know, you just got to be super adaptable. Like I call people out to try to withdraw my energy that are very close to me.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm so quick at it because I think the only thing that you have going for you as a business person, a salesperson, is to protect your energy, right? And the bigger you get, the more responsibility you get, and the more you have to give people your energy in certain sections. So, for example, last time I'm on a team training call, and this girl that's on the team training call, she's going crazy I'm trading, and I'm in it, and she's going crazy with these questions on the right, and we're not open for Q&A yet, right? And then I pause. I said, you got to stop. She's actually not even part of my team, but I was giving everybody a lesson. I said, you have to stop doing this question thing. Why? I said, because you're trying to withdraw from me right now, and you're actually killing everybody else. And if you withdraw from me right now, I'm not going to be able to meet you at full capacity when I got to do Q&A because you keep bringing me in and bringing me out. And I was showing everybody on that call as a sales leader. I said, when you guys do become sales leaders, you got to be so firm with your energy because everybody's going to try to steal it, and they might not even want it. They might just want a shoulder to lean on. So I said, I'm always going to meet people at full capacity. I don't do nothing half-ass inside of life. I don't play soccer half-ass. I'm not working. I'm playing soccer when I'm playing soccer. You know, I'm in it. Like, we're in there to win. Yeah. When I'm on a stage, I'm not doing it half-assed. There's nothing going on inside of my mind but training people on that stage, right? When I'm doing this podcast, I'm not doing it half-assed. I'm doing it fully. I always tell people I will always reserve my energy to meet somebody at full capacity when I can and if I can. So, for example, if there's a lot of direct messages inside of my Instagram, it would be impossible to message everybody. Of course. Right? To do 1,000, 2,000 messages a day. So why do I do a live stream? Like, people might think I'm crazy at doing live stream at 1 a.m. But I said, you wouldn't know what'd be crazier is me trying to get through 1,000 messages a day. So I tell the people, I said, guys, I don't answer questions inside of my Instagram. I don't respond to nobody. Why? I'll meet you at full energy at 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 3 p.m., whenever I go on a live stream. And if you're serious enough, you would come there and you'd figure out, hunt me down 3 weeks in a row to get your question answered. I will always meet you at full energy. And for some people, that's rude. For me, I got to protect myself. And I believe in that. Like, it's the mask analogy. Put the mask on yourself before you put the mask on somebody else, right? Yeah. So I think the more responsibilities you get, the more energy you need to be given, but in certain areas. You got to know when to pour it on in certain areas, right?
Good. So I was going to ask you, Olga, real estate is super competitive. No more sure. I mean, here in Dubai, it's very, very competitive. What advice would you give to a new agent starting out in real estate now? I mean, we actually, at Novvi, we have new people starting. Anastasia's just started today, for example. What advice would you give her?
I mean, besides, the consistency, discipline, and persistence, I would say to lower expectation, because a lot of agents coming into the industry looking at these TikToks with Rolex agents and G-Wagons and thinking they're going to smash it the first 1 month. And it's a little bit unrealistic, and they're forgetting that these agents are coming in with 10-year experience. This is probably the peak of their career. And when you watch that, it becomes demotivational. And we're talking about energy and motivation. So forget all that. Focus on your game. Focus on your numbers. Focus on your product and move on. And hopefully you get a good mentor within the company or outside of the company, somebody who can kind of tune in your disadvantages or somewhere where you don't perform and just have your goal and game on and full on.
I definitely agree with you in terms of lower the expectations. My advice would be don't do it. It's very tough. Way out question for you. Tell the audience something about you that we don't know, Daniel.
I'm actually a nice guy.
Why? But that makes it sound as though we think, or people think you're not a nice guy. But why? Why would you think?
Because I know people. It's what I do for a living.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
So there's a lot of haters out there, is what you're saying.
It's not haters. It's just like I play towards this. Meaning, like, of course, if I'm going to go on social media, like, of course, I'm going to be out there because I know people are dead. So the only way to grab energy and grab attention is be a little bit up there and turn it up a notch. So I mean that the person's going to be a hater. It's going to be like, whoa, 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 right? Like too much. So they probably think like this guy is so aggressive. Like, you know how many people I met in life and they're like, man, not only did I think you were 6'5", but like, you know, I thought you were just going to be so mean.
Me.
And I said, I thought you were going to be aggressive and rude and mean. And I try to talk to everybody as much as I could. And I say, listen, man, like your business switch is on. And when I'm on, it's time to make money. And this is what feeds the family. So it's on. And if it works for you, you keep going with it. And regardless inside of life, I tell people, because I'm loud and I get a lot of hate from it, but I also get people that are like, hey, I just don't like it. Or maybe this guy's mean or whatever the case is. And I always say, you know, regardless of whatever you do, you'll never be judged in the middle. You'll always be judged on the top or the bottom. So it's like, if I'm on social media, I'm putting myself out there, somebody's going to say to me, hey, you're too much. And they're going to try to shut you up. Okay. But then where does not getting enough get you? Like some people are going to be like, hey, talk up a little bit louder. So it's like, you're never going to win. You're never going to win inside of life. So you might as well just do what the heck you want to do. Like on social media, nobody's turning me off. There's no law. There's no taxing me for talking a little bit louder. There's no impact. I don't get banned. Obviously, I'm not talking about things that would get you banned.
Of course.
Politics, anything that, like, there's none of that. And if one of my videos get banned for swearing, maybe I take off the swearing on one of my videos. But I say, regardless inside of life, you will be judged. So I'm like, I'd rather be too much than not be enough inside of my business. Like, I'd rather a lot of people hate me than nobody else knows who the heck I am.
Sure.
It's a better just thing to play for. Like, yes, I'm the guy that got called crazy, you know, I don't know, on drugs, whatever you want to say. But then I'm like, well, good. Who wants to be average? Like, would you like if somebody came up to you and you're like, hey, man, you're super average. Nice to meet you. Super normal. Like, that freaking sucks.
They call me Super Mario, but not super average.
Yeah, exactly. You're Super Mario, though. That's different. Yeah, but you don't want somebody to come up to you and be like, hey, man, nice to meet you. My name is Bob. Just looked at your videos, man. You're super normal. Like, what are you really playing to? That's what I ask people. I'm like, you never in life, you never make the whole sides of the stadium happy.
Exactly.
Never. Like with family, with your audience, it's impossible. You know, people go nuts inside of life trying to make everybody around them happy. And then imagine you keep growing an audience and not just trying to make 5 people happy. Now you're trying to make 50,000 people happy. That's why it's so important when you do build a brand, not just know the industry that you serve, but know the people inside of the industry that you serve. That's even a lot more important, because then it's like, hey, I don't serve people inside of the industry that don't want to be great in every area of their life. I know that already. Like, okay, I serve salespeople. That's an obvious, right? I train and I help salespeople. Number one, I don't train and help salespeople that want to make average money. I don't do that. That's not my personality.
Why would you anyway?
But there is some people that like to try to please the whole crowd that's trying to get somebody to $5,000. It's not my demeanor. It's not my language, right? Like, my language is always like, how do you make 6 figures a month? Not a year, like 6 figures a month. Why? Because that is the money that you need in sales to keep this freaking engine going and for you to do it for a lifetime. That's what's going to motivate you. Money in sales is going to motivate you. Let's cut all the crap, okay? Like, money in sales is the biggest motivator. And if money doesn't motivate somebody in sales, sales is not right for you. You know, like this, it's sales. You need to be making money. Why do you want to get punched in the face for nothing?
Of course.
Right? Like, there's people that move from the UFC to another sport because, like, dude, we're getting beat up and we ain't getting paid enough in the UFC. There was a guy, his name's Francis. I don't know what he was getting paid, but then he's like, man, I just went into this boxing thing, and I think he found out in Saudi Arabia. He's like, I made more money in boxing, 2.5 million, that I made in my whole career of UFC. I might as well, if I'm doing this sport, I might as well figure out where it's going to pay me the most, right? So if you're going to do it, you might as well do it and get paid a lot of money in it, or it's not worth it. Do another job. I really think sales is not worth it if you're not in it for a lot of money. I don't think. Just like you said, don't get into it. Like, yes, it's going to be hard. That's what people don't get. It's going to be hard. Some people, just like Olga said, will have an easier time because of what they, or you said it, like what they had in the past. Their building blocks might make it a little bit easier.
But people think it's easy because everybody wants to buy at the moment.
Correct.
You know, and it's not easy. In fact, it's even harder So
It's true.
it's a tough gig. So even not doing it is actually good advice if you don't have that mindset.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, what you said at the event on Sunday was, okay, we have 30, 50,000 agents, but most of them are not that good.
Correct.
So you are competing against the good ones, so it's not that much of a competition.
That's very true. Yeah. There's actually not much competition. That's the way you got to see it.
There's not much competition in the good ones.
Correct.
But there's lots of bums on the seats, if I can put it that way.
And the fact is this, it's like, well, what's the population of Dubai? Do we know?
3.6 million.
3.6 million. Okay.
Close to 3.7 now, I think.
So the population of America,
Over 330 million.
330 million?
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, great. So there's
His name is Super Mario after all.
332 million people.
Sorry, I missed 2 million out. What to do?
Mario's spot on. So there's 330 million people in America. There's a lot more at the top than there is in the top here.
Yeah.
So like it's just what it is, right? So it's like the motivating factor should be when you get to the top, you're gonna smash it here. When you get to the top there, out of the pool,
Exactly.
right? Like that's the motivating end vision factor, right? That's the end vision. But it's not so saturated here because most people, when you look at them, they ain't making money. They're not working hard. They're not doing this full time. Or what happens because they get caught up in the circus. This is either an opportunity or circus here, by the way. It's an opportunity or circus. Like it's just a land to make your dreams come true. And that's what it is. Dubai is a land of opportunity. But some people, they make a little bit and they get caught up in the circus. Like they make their $20,000 check and they get caught up in the circus. They go buy the Benz, they start going out for these fancy dinners, and that's the circus. That's what the circus is there for. It's like to distract you until you can spend without thinking, do things without thinking. You're going to be in the circus. That's what the circus is there for.
That's the biggest frustration as a manager for me, that when you have a team or an individual who's actually done really, really well, they go missing here. Yeah, they take the foot off the gas. They might take a holiday. And literally, they've got to start all over again. So actually, my advice to any new agents would be, if you do, not necessarily even a big deal, just you're here to make sales, do the sales. The best time to make a sale is when you've just done a sale.
I love it.
You know?
Love it.
And yet they don't do that. They take the foot off the gas, as I say, and they just start to relax. Hey, I've arrived. I'm Mr. Big. And that's not the case at all.
Do we still have more time?
I guess so.
Okay.
I got more questions.
Oh, okay, because I was just going to say it's like there's a sign right there that says join the winning team. It's like you don't waste your winning energy. So it would be stupid to make a sale and then go spend your winning energy. Not money, forget the money. It's the confidence that you have. Imagine you come here, you're a kid. I just talked to a kid 2 days ago. The kid's 21 years old, came from Spain, came here to Dubai, and within 6 months, he makes all these sales. He buys his dream Porsche. He's like, man, I'm just, losing my motivation. I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm like, you lost your winning energy. You spent your winning energy, not just the money, but physically your winning energy going out. When the moment you make a sale, it's not the money that you make, it's the confidence that you grab.
Correct.
Right? So it's like, once you have that confidence, you call on everybody that you were unconfident about closing the deal. Bob, yeah, who is it? It's freaking Jim. Listen, Bob, I don't know what you're doing right now. I'm coming to drive you because I have something across my plate. You're not able to say that when you're not confident.
Correct.
So when you make a $20 million dirham sale or something, go call on the people that you weren't confident about. Like go back into business, pour back into your business. And I think the sad fact is that people lose their confident energy. It's not the money. It's not the money thing.
We say it's a roller coaster ride.
Right.
And for sure, because of those highs and lows that people put themselves in, it's a bumpy ride. But it doesn't have to be that way. It should just be a trajectory. Just keep going up all the time.
Correct.
Or
it can also have an effect where it's a trajectory of slow growth, and then you keep doing that, and one day it's just like boom.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you've had so much faith in the slow growth that it was growing, and then one day it does blow up. You're so much ahead of people, and it's so exponential. That word inside of business is the most attractive word when it's exponential, where nobody can catch up to anymore, where your actions don't make sense. Why is this broker making $1 million, not a month, not a week, a day? And there's people like that, and it's so exponential, and you will never tie it back to be like, when this person was at the top of the game, they compounded it so many freaking times that nobody's ever going to think that. Like, this guy was already making $1 million a month. And when he was at $1 million a month, he could have checked out and he compounded the momentum one more freaking time.
Yeah.
To the point where it got so exponential, but the majority of people are not willing to do that. That's like the 0.0001%. We know those brokers inside of the city that when they were at their top of their game, they compounded the top one more time. That's where I feel like I'm in right now. Like this is literally my season where I'm like, I'm at the height and I'm going to shut up and I'm just going to keep going. So it's so exponential that you can't catch up to it anymore, to the point where somebody says that person's a scammer.
Well,
because they can't fathom compounding momentum when you're at the top of your game. It doesn't make sense. Majority of people, when they're making $1 million a month or a week, everybody's going to check out.
But those are the agents that I'm looking for, what I call the rock stars, you know, the ones that just keep going. Anyway, we talked a lot about motivation and hype and everything. My question now, to I guess both of you, but let's start with yourself, Daniel. How do you relax? I mean, do you even relax?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Man, I relax. See, it's crazy. Like
you can't think of it.
No, I do. I don't know. Shit. Let's ask Steve. Steve, what do I do to relax? There, that's the first one.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I
you didn't join me the other night.
But we could smoke a cigar when we got. See, now I'm gonna answer your question. That night when you said smoke a cigar, and I'm like, I'm already dead tired.
Yeah, because you were 2 days that you hadn't slept.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm not gonna smoke this cigar for 3 hours. Now, if you ask me the way I smoke a cigar, Steve knows I'm smoking a cigar for 3 hours.
Oh, okay.
I could smoke a cigar. I could watch somebody in the cigar lounge smoke a cigar. He's done it in 45 minutes. I'm like, that cigar takes me 3.5 hours. I don't know how. Maybe it's this connection that I have with cigars that, like, it just knows right now we're in the ambience of yoga and meditation.
Okay.
Like, I'll post my cigar on Instagram and just write yoga. And people will be like, that's not yoga. That's horrible for you. And I'll be like, well, yoga is like, you know, an inner peace of mind where you're just meditating. And that's where I'm most relaxed, is when I have a cigar. So I believe a cigar to me is a memory of the day or the week, right? So like every cigar that I smoke, I'm dedicating it to something. And I'm thinking about that something throughout the cigar.
That's nice.
And that's the way I look at cigars. It's like when somebody buys a watch and they're like, this watch represents this, or this car represents this deal. So cigars is one, and then sports.
Yep.
You know, I love sports.
And you like running as well?
I like running. I don't know if I like running, but again, it's a way where I could just release, right?
Amazing. And what about you, Olga? How do you relax?
I'm easy. I'm beach time.
You're
Beach time. Wake surfing, kids, beach. I'm done.
What beach time do you mean? Do you mean laying and tanning on the beach, or doing things on the beach?
Doing things on
Yeah,
the
doing things on the beach.
water sports. Like,
That's fun.
Wow. Downstairs, you touched on something, and you also touched upon it before, because I heard you say the word books. I had a question to say, what 3 books, 2 books, business books would you recommend
Well,
we should either all read or have read during our lifetime?
Yeah, I think if you're just starting in sales, of course, How to Win Friends and Influence People, How to Master the Art of Selling, and then I like to throw in some Brian Tracy inside of there. Or actually, okay, if you already read How to Win Friends and Influence People, it's the 101 about just human interaction. How to Master the Art of Selling, which is by Tom Hopkins. He's a sales trainer that sold 365 homes in 365 days. So that's a cool stat, right? So I read that.
He never took his foot off the gas, did he?
He never took it. That's why it's cool. Like 365 home in 365 days. That was his print into the sales trading space. So he was cool, even though I was never in real estate. My dad was in real estate before the crash, and that was my in. Those trainers were like my into sales. I'm like, what does this mean? How to Master the Art of Selling? And I took that book off and I started reading it. And he said 365 homes. I did the mathematics on it. I'm like, I'm being lied to inside of life. This guy is crushing life. This is what winning looks like. Not a doctor. I'm like, this guy, like, I did the math on it. I said, this is crazy. So that book really got me into sales.
Is it a very analytical book, or?
No, it's just about the primary principles about sales. A little bit more tailored towards real estate, which would be cool for this podcast. So it's How to Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins. Just the fundamentals and principles that I think some people just got to go back to the basics sometimes, right?
Of course.
And just know the basic. Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow. So how to use different sides of your brain to think about business. So left side of your brain, the right side of your brain. So those are good books. Of course, there's so many great sales books. I've read every single sales book growing up. Read over like 200-300 sales
Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, these are great. Yeah. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, Studying Bob Proctor.
It's funny, you mentioned the first book you mentioned, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I was talking about this the other day downstairs to some of the off-plan people. They never even heard of Dale Carnegie. And that really saddened me, actually.
Yeah.
Because I thought, but then I didn't want to belittle them.
Right.
I said, just Google it. Just Google Dale Carnegie. And then they were going, wow. So then they said, but he died in like 1890. I said, yeah, nobody said he was a young dude.
Correct.
But his books are still falling, selling off the shelves now.
It's nuts because those are the people that actually developed this whole space. Like this whole personal development space came from Napoleon Hill, Dale Carnegie, Andrew Carnegie, Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn. These are legends, like even when people look at Tony Robbins, okay, cool. You know who he was studying from before. Tony was studying from all those guys way back before. These guys have all the great success principles. I love this.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave the last question to Olga. Obviously, you've been doing it for 3 years, but and working on the Palm is a special place. So I would ask you, what one deal gave you the most satisfaction, the greatest satisfaction? Doesn't necessarily have to be the biggest sale, the most money. Which deal gave you the most satisfaction?
It would be Nikki Beach, 2-bedroom apartment. Yes.
So an apartment, rather.
It was an apartment. It wasn't a villa. It was one of my bigger items at that time, but it wasn't about that. It was the contract was written on Christmas Eve when I'm in Italy skiing with my friends.
Oh, wow.
The payments for this apartment has been done in Georgia in cash, in Russia in cash, and third part in Dubai. And at that time, I was told, Olga, this kind of deal, never.
So it's super complicated.
It was very complicated, but after this, me and the sellers are best friends. After that, we bought another villa in Carisi and El Barari. After that, they sold the villa with me, and then they again bought it. So it created like this kind of ongoing relationship.
Amazing.
Basically, you come through hell and back, you're done for life on exclusivity. So yeah, that kind of buyers and sellers you're looking
I
for.
think that would give anyone great satisfaction. That's
I have a
great.
question, Olga. What do you mean by in Russia in cash, in Georgia in cash?
It was done. It was actually, those times when the war started, and the payments had to be collected by the representative of the seller in Georgia, by the seller's representative in Russia.
Got it.
The final payment was done in Dubai because there were
Dubai. Oh, okay.
capital controls and things.
Very interesting.
But we managed.
Wow.
It was built on trust. The seller,
Yeah, of course.
buyer was sitting down, and we're like, okay, let's just hope we all own.
And it's difficult to also remain within the law as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's like,
So you've got...
yeah, it's so many different jurisdictions and laws. It's like you got Dubai, Georgia, and
Well,
Russia.
there's anti-money laundering laws now that we have to abide by. So, before perhaps deals were done a little bit freer, now obviously we have know your client. We have to ensure that we understand where the money is and how it gets. And there are restrictions everywhere.
I think that's great. Yeah.
And that's another thing that makes life a little bit difficult for a real estate agent, because you've got a buyer, a seller, but sometimes we talked about ready, willing, and able. I mentioned that many times downstairs. And sometimes they're ready and willing, but they're not able because they can't get the money out, for example.
Right.
Anyway, I think we've come to the end of our podcast. I want to thank you very much, Daniel. It was very informative. Olga, thank you also for joining us. And until next time, join us on Novvi Talks, where we'll have other guests and we'll be enlightening all of you.